Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Brandon Groce, and I want to welcome you to Real Talk, brought to you by EditorX, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. Real Talk is a live show where we share with you exciting design, news, trends, career advice, and conversations with thought leaders in the space, entrepreneurs, agency owners, and more around no-code, UI, UX, product design, and the marketing spaces, and on top of that, so much more. If that sounds right up your alley, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can come back each week to get your daily and weekly dose of information. And also, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to like this video. It helps tremendously. So with that said, let's jump into today's conversation. Howdy everybody, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with me, your host, Brandon Groce. We have an amazing guest today. I'm so glad to have her. She's given us some of her time this afternoon to be here with us to talk about AR, XR, VR, AI, and probably just a lot of things that you guys are drooling to hear about. So we have the amazing Kim Alban today with us. She has worked with brands like Adobe, Meta, Spline, and so many more, and has been published in so many amazing publications in the design space. And if you guys want to know more, just keep reading that little thing that keeps dragging across the screen, okay guys? All right, well, first off, before Kim introduces herself, I want to know where you guys are coming from, where you came from our community, ADP list, or really just where you're coming from in the world. And just want to say hello to all of you guys here. It's been super exciting to really just have you guys. We have about 60 people here with us, and let's get started. So please help me welcome Kim Alban to the stage. Here we go. Kim, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Brandon?
I am excelente. I'm super excited. I know. And first off, I want to say, guys, thank you for the patience of like the technical difficulties. We're 6 minutes late. We're still doing pretty good, but Kim had like patience of the gods to deal with what I was dealing with in the back end. But everything's good. We're good, and I'm just happy to be here with you.
Same. It's all my fault.
No, it is not your fault. This stuff happens, and it's crazy. So, all right. While everybody is letting us know where they're coming in from in the world, the community-wise and things, just give everybody a little bit of a your background. We're obviously here to talk about some really amazing futuristic things, but let's get a little bit of a scoop of your background, how you got into what you're doing today, and then we can kind of go off into the sunset about really what you are really interested in all these things in the design space and what you find most exciting as well. And before we actually jump into that, I want to preface this, guys, there will be 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A towards the end of this, so please feel free to drop your questions in the chat either now or just towards the end. That way, this is a live conversation, nothing is really planned, and we're just going with the flow. All right, Kim, I'm gonna hand it over to you. Give us a little sherbet of Kim Alban.
It is a long story, but I'll try to summarize it. I'm an art student at heart, and I started off within the arts and experimenting digital media for as long as I can remember. So that being said, I have an associate's degree in photography, and my bachelor's degree is sort of digital media. And honestly, I started freelancing when I was 16 in photography and graphic design. Really confident with my skills enough to take it, and present offerings and get gigs like that really early on. Fast forward of trying to understand business and how to market myself better to get higher paying clients, I was always trying to keep up with what makes me a better designer, a better freelancer, so I can get clients. And through that, at the time, I really thought that coding would be it, and could sort of be like this one person that does everything. And long story short, I realized I did not like coding at all. But through that, I found UX. So, I mean, this is a long story, but all that to say that within UX, I realized that a lot of what I had been doing with my clients is essentially what goes into the UX process. And I found that my skills and what I'm really passionate about in providing services to my clients really aligned with user experience design. And I sort of started there, started being what y'all know as a UX designer or a product designer or a UX and UI designer, and that brings me to today. However, while doing this for clients, I never stop learning. Like, I always keep up to date with what I'm passionate about, and on my own time and outside of doing client work and stuff or my full-time job, what have you, I'm always trying to keep up with, what I'm really interested in. So keeping up with like the motion design or like the digital trends. And through this, like I started learning more about AR, VR. The umbrella term is XR. And on my own, I eventually took some courses, and I always share what I learned with the internet. So this is how what brings us to here and everything emerging. AI is in the mix, and it's growing so fast. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Long story.
No, that was absolutely perfect. I appreciate you sharing that. And long stories are always good. That's why, honestly, if it weren't up to our time schedules, I would love to talk to you for like 3 hours. I think we could do it. I wish that was the case.
I think we could.
Yeah, for the next one. But yeah, I appreciate that. And in what I also want to pose to the audience, because of Kim's just like wide, I was trying to figure out what to actually put as your title, because multidisciplinary is like, that's literally what you do. You do a lot. You have a lot of experience. You dig around so much, and that's why I'm excited to have you here, because like you dig faster, more than anybody like I know. And I have, for those of you who don't follow Kim like on any social media, you guys, like, that should be your first thing today. Like, please go check out what she shares on social media. Obviously pay attention here, but the amount that she shares is absolutely amazing. And like every day I'll pop up on her social media channels and be like, holy shit, that's a thing. And I constantly feel behind. So I'm really excited to just jump into like what things today, because I know AI is a big thing that you're trying to jump into. But and also in the chat too, I know there's some people here who are here for strictly the AI stuff, and people who are here for like the XR stuff. By the way, I did not know that XR was like the umbrella term. I thought XR was like one of the things. So now, the more you know. Um, but yeah, let us know if you guys want to have the conversation skewed towards more towards the AI. I'll actually put a poll so I can keep track. Whether you guys want to talk about the AI or the XR related things. But tell us now, just because this is honestly, this was selfishly for me to have a long form conversation with you and learn. Honestly, and everybody can learn as a bystander. But tell us a little bit about what you're super excited about to like nowadays, what you're studying, what stands out to you, and yeah, just give us a spiel on what you're trying to just like yell at everybody about that's so exciting that they should know
Yeah.
about.
For as long, and Brandon, I also have a trouble. I have that big trouble of whether it's multidisciplinary or like multi-platform. I forgot. There's another term that's really wild. But yeah, for as long as I can remember, like I much like you started using Photoshop super young and taught me. I was an expert before I reached college, so for me, it's always been around. Like my interest has always been around the digital realm, for as long as I can remember, and we are at the precipice like of a big change. I remember the iPhone coming out. I was still in college. I went to school for photography initially, and I remember just the biggest conversation being, "Oh well, photos taken by photos taken by like iPhones and phones are not real photography." And I hated that because why not? Um, and of course, that year, someone, lo and behold, launched their gallery with their whole body of work centered around photos made from their new iPhone. And for me, it was always interesting to challenge that. And I feel like I was definitely growing up, and we are always, not just me, but we're always growing up around these changes. And these new changes, this push for AI and XR and the big investment from all the big tech companies is a sign that things are about to change just as much as that new iPhone entered the scene now, way too many years ago.
It's true, and like I honestly, I'm waiting for the poll. I think the AI poll is starting to win. It's crossed 50%, but immediately it's now 61. So let's actually jump on that. I feel like there's a couple things that we can tag team on, because I think that is going to be AI dives into everything, right? So let's talk about how you think AI impacts us. I was listening into a conversation yesterday, a live stream like this, and it kind of went doomsday a little quickly, very quickly. But let's not go there just yet, because I think there's a lot of things to be excited about, a lot of things from efficiency, from having to actually do less work, making our jobs easier, making cooler things in less time. So let's talk about what does some of that stuff look like for you, and then we can apply to what does that look like in the XR, AR, VR space.
Yeah, so let's start off with AI. What is it? AI refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines. So it's like us, but run by a computer that are programmed to run certain tasks that would normally require humans uh, a lot of a lot of hours on the job, perhaps. And it would require our intelligence, it would require our eyes, speech recognition, to make all of these decisions. So if a computer could do it, wonderful. I will, of course, say that every machine has its limitations, and AI is learning from us and all of our biases. So, of course, that is the glaring area that we should, be concerned with. And that's why, as much as people can be really, really doomsday about it and really afraid of it, I challenge you to be all the more involved so your voice is counted as well. It's always important. And one initial reminder of this is, I grew up with like the start of computers. And I remember having some computer classes and seeing skills like gradually being asked by jobs increase around computer literacy. So for me, there is somewhat of a fear of like being left behind, but I can't see any job that doesn't ask you, or any field that doesn't change. And I pretty much said this the other day, but if there's one guarantee in life, there are many, of course, change is one of them. It will absolutely happen. So if we think of AI and it being the simulation of human intelligence, um, when we think of personalization and experiences that fit us like a glove, um, some really wonderful ones could just be like, you know, easiest one is like an alarm clock. Hey, you set it for 8 o'clock and it wakes you up. Wonderful. It may not be the most enjoyable experiences, but it did that for us. Um, Maybe you have a Pinterest board and it asks you to, let it know what your favorite themes are or things so it could show you more of that. It's really catering your experience on that platform to be only of those experiences. When we think of personalization in with AI and XR, um, the closest one, the one that I'm most confident about is AR and mixed reality. Um, AR more so because you're not relying on a headset. We're moving closer and closer to actually glasses and contact lenses being more of reality. It will require us less effort to actually put on a headset, right? If it's contact lenses or glasses. And that way, if we have an experience within AR to say, open up a phone call or just show me what my calendar is. Can you show me to what I have next in line for a meeting today? With the technology of AI, we can create experiences that really fit us kind of like an assistant. Or I'll leave it as an assistant because I do like that approach. I think a lot of us can benefit from even just having a second pair of hands.
Wait, a second pair of pants?
Hands,
Oh, I was about to say, I was like,
brain.
maybe. I was like, you know what? This is so bad, but I was like, a second pair of pants. I was like, sometimes I have the idea like it's probably good to wear two pairs of underwear, but I didn't. I was like, I wonder if that's where you were going, but it's totally not. But guys, this is why I have guests and I don't talk. Um, but also, I wanted to say just in general, I know you guys are hearing like an echo. I'm muting. Like this was part of the technical difficulty that we had in the beginning, but and you guys said it got better, but I'm literally having to mute when Kim talks. So thank you guys for your patience. So Kim, let's kind of dive a little bit more into that, like AR and AI. All right, and I'm with you because it's just like VR is cool and all. I like to be immersed, but I think some of the coolest things in VR is that the power. Okay, where I'm trying to go with this. Video games, if you're just on a screen, right? It has the power of like how strong the chips and all the technology that we have to have some really crazy graphics, right? So I think VR, the graphics and all the stuff, it's a lot better than where I think AR is. But I might be mistaken. Like what just immediately, what are your thoughts are on that? Is that true, or we just haven't seen things? We haven't seen the right things where you're like, no, AR is actually kicking ass. So let's start there. What are your thoughts?
I think AR is still trying to be worked on. I know Google had launched their glasses first, like a long time ago now. Publicly, it was not accepted and it was just, deemed as a privacy concern. Understandable. Um, and that just goes to show you that when people aren't ready to adopt certain technology, it will, not continued. Now, I could say that there is definitely a technology, but I think it's more of a concern of can the companies, and I think this is why Apple is one of them, is just delaying their headset for so long. Some of the big tech companies have discussed more of the concerns to actually build like a glasses out. So it's there, but I think there are just some definite technical issues for creating a device that we could wear like all around. And it will be within our like field of view enough and not just like maybe right in front of your eyes. So that's the other thing. In VR, you can turn your head, really great devices. You can look all around and stuff like that, and you have that natural field of view, but glasses may limit you. And I know that even about a year ago, I will say the company was just really limited with the field of view. So you really have to sort of like move around with the device. But all this technology is moving really fast, and I am really confident that we'll see something at least within the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think also another big thing too is some of the people in the comments are talking about adoption. Like that's really important too, because I feel like AR will probably have a better adoption curve. Like for example, Find You in the chat is talking about Pokemon Go. Like that is AR just in the phone, and it's very easy to use, but it's not yet on our eyes, right?
Right.
So like the conversations that you have with other people in the space, like by the way, I like the rooms that you're in, Kim. I like so jealous. Like I'm just like, damn, she's meeting like all the cool people doing like crazy ass things, and in many different ways. How is everybody thinking about like AR versus VR? I know you kind of went into that a little bit, where it's just like VR, a company that shall not be named, had field of view issues. Like there's some limitations, and also adoption. Like not everybody wants to basically like go into the matrix and like not come out. I mean, uh, people like me who just want to be in the game locked in, and then like someone walks in and you're just like, what are you doing? And it's like it's a whole nother, and I'm like, I'm playing Beat Saber, like leave me
Yeah.
alone. But I feel like the adoption curve for that, it's kind of just like, if you want to have friends over and you all just put a headset on and just go into a mystical land, or not, you probably wouldn't be coming over to put a headset on. You'd probably be separate putting a headset on. But I feel like
Right.
AR is a lot more, you still come together to experience things in person that are in a virtual space. The behavior, yeah, like, anyways, I'm telling all these things, but really I'm just like, Kim, what is the conversation like adoption in both of these technologies, just from a user
Yeah.
perspective?
I think you said it just perfectly. Like VR, you're more immersed, and although this sounds really strange, you're getting all your senses hijacked, and they're being taken somewhere else. And that's it. That's your it's the device is telling you what your environment looks like, what the sounds are going to be, um, what I mean, if you have some crazy extensions or add-ons, what certain things might feel like. There are also like VR foot adapters or something like that, like a treadmill, so you could be more immersed in it. That isn't really for everyone, because they still sort of, as bad as we are at multitasking, people still want to know what's going around them. And as much as VR headsets can fill in the noise and stuff like that, if your doorbell goes off, you're going to be like, all right, let me let me get out of here and go get the door. Um, and I think that's the biggest concern. We're not in this conversation. We're only thinking of one audience, and that audience is able to use headsets, right? And they might want to use it in a way that's exercising, or they might want to use it in a way that's working with others. Um, there's sort of that new Oculus headset that is more for creative and professionals, but it isn't applicable to everyone. And maybe we don't necessarily have the ability or space to use a headset at that time. There are limitations with maybe where you are at in life, like certain certain accessibility issues are a concern for VR headsets. Um, Although we've done a great job at thinking about accessibility so far, it's definitely one area that needs to be improved still, and still growing. It's always still growing. But I think that is also another reason why AR glasses, or just smarter glasses like mixed reality glasses, are more exciting to think about for a lot of people, because they still have their vision to view the world in front of them, to hear what's going on, and people still very much do want to be in reality, and possibly the reality that they're in, and still be updated, albeit by like graphics overlaid onto the world, which is AR.
Yeah, I think it will be, people will only, it's not until like we all have neural links that we want to go into another reality, because I think that or it will be easy. Well, I still think that would be probably like AR, right? Or you're putting like, images over top of like your optics, but that's like way far, and I don't think nobody's really, I don't think, even talking about that. But yeah, I think we can all agree, and Ari in the chat is talking about basically we're reliant on the efficiency of getting technology small enough to put like contact lenses or a good design, hopefully, just to place that sort of technology in glasses, so that it's like we're not going out of our typical everyday behavior to use a technology that makes life a little bit easier. So I definitely think AR is there. I think VR is really strong, almost in the video game realm, or just video games, different interactivity. Like, for example, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, and I'm actually really curious, King, because we've not talked about this. Are you familiar with Code Miko?
Oh, no.
So this is actually really interesting. It's not even VR. It's like, it's not a headset sort of situation. It's almost like movie production stuff. I highly recommend you guys check this out, or just look up like AI influencers. They are using, or not AI influencers. What is it? I want to say, I think it's VR influencers. I'm not entirely sure. But there's this girl called AI Angel, and Code Miko is the really cool one. She's a developer. So basically, they have like a mocap suit on, and what they're doing is they're literally producing shows, like kind of what we're doing here, is on Twitch. And what happens is, based on certain inputs from the chat, certain like purchasing of certain gifts or whatnot, things happen in her game that she's in. So I don't know how to explain it. So she's wearing like a mocap suit and all these things, and she's basically in an Unreal Engine environment, live streaming. And so like if somebody buys something, like make her want to fart or whatnot, her video game character like farts out of her seat, goes into the sky, blows up into an explosion, the world burns, and it's just like, holy shit. She basically made an interactive video game that other people can interact with through the internet. And it's yeah, there you go, Asha. 3D virtual influencer. Thank you very much.
Yes.
VTuber. Yes, there you go. Thank you for correcting me, guys. Y'all are awesome. Y'all know what's going on. But all that stuff is super cool. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, like definitely, like that's how I see VR. I feel like it's almost taking what has been possible in the movie side of things and making it a little bit more democratized and allowing us to experiment and play with that. Where I think AR is more so kind of what we're talking about here today. And it was anyways, I don't mean to divert, but I think it's interesting. I think VR is going another way. I think the headsets, I'm not sure how I like the headsets, but anyways. All right. Sorry, guys. You guys know I like to babble.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. You nailed it. VR is kind of like, if you're working with a VR headset, which I don't think everyone is, for most people that may be interacting with it, it's an entertainment. It's a form of entertainment. Some could also be really fun to design. So like designing within 3D feels a lot more natural in VR than it actually does using a 2D application, because you can draw out a line and actually put your head in it, move around, and that just feels a lot more intuitive, of course, than how our first stab at taking and telling people how they should design for VR with 2D programs.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hop off that train really quick. It's still running. We can hop back on, but I would love to hear, because you're putting a lot of content out about AI and how you're thinking about using it. Like, if you could, let's talk about specific programs or platforms, however you want to call them, how you're using them and how you see them in your workflow. I don't know how you've been doing it, Kim, because I swear we could probably name like 20 just from your last 2 weeks of content. But
yeah,
let's try to play with like 3 to 5, and maybe while you're talking about them, I can pull links and share them with the chat.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Off the top of my head, honestly, so I just actually released one today. It's by UI Czar. Of sorry, I've been pronouncing it wrong. It's Wizard, but it's spelled Uizard.io. And they are actually, there's a wait list for it, but I'm excited for this. It's a text to design generator. And can't believe I've just been butchering the name. But the reason I'm excited about this is because, and I did make a YouTube video about this because I've been a design team of one before. And also, just FYI, if you're designing for XR, a lot of your designs still come from 2D programs. This is often the case. There are few elements, like let's say environments that you're building out that naturally are built by game engines, 3D platforms, and such. So when designing for all of these spaces, we're still relying on our 2D interfaces, and that's because 3D isn't accessible for everyone, so our interfaces are not, at least for right now and in this future, not in 3D. So UIZard has this there's a waitlist for it, this tool that's going to come out, and there's another one on the market too. It's sort of this race right now with all of these tools, text to design. And the way that I see it is like you need to quickly make a mock-up for a client that you've just been talking to, and you want to quickly just have a few ideas to run with, and it's on the fly. And like I mentioned, I was a design team of one, and this would have been amazing to just utilize when I had little to no time to do user research, to conduct stakeholder interviews, and launch and create some research around. So when it comes to that use case, it would have been phenomenal. And that's how I see it right now. Right now it's text to design, but I definitely believe that there is a future there where it will be connected to design systems that can sort of pump out some of these components. Especially since the thing with interaction design is that we're not creating things that are new. We shouldn't make people think, right? So the way that we explore the internet today is largely the same as it's been for the past 10 years and even longer than that. We still are viewing things through a browser. Our buttons to X out of the browser have been, and for the longest time as I can remember, have been on the left-hand side. And this is because we want to create experiences that match the mental model of who's actually using the internet. So they need to be predictable. So this is how I definitely see how and why AI would be moving into the design space to help us design a lot faster.
I love it. And speaking of text to design, because I saw your UIZard piece today. Is that, can we actually sign up today and start using? Is it? I'm talking too fast, guys. This is how you know I'm so damn excited. Like I'm like, did you get that? Are you ready? Like, can you answer that question?
It still sounds like English to me.
Sorry about that. Okay, so UIZard, is it similar to Galileo or Galileo or whatever it is? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Galileo. After I think the big scientist Galileo Galilei, there's a wait list for all of them. This is why I am on it. If there's another one that is Genius Design that is similar to some of these. It's actually Galileo is the closest one. So there's a wait list to them. I'm waiting just as much as everyone else. But as soon as I get access, I'm sharing it ASAP. In fact, as soon as I caught wind of it this morning about UIZard and its wizard, because I got chewed out, I will share it ASAP.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask. I was like, we should probably be able to break through the wait list and be like, hey, we want to create a lot of content around this. Have you? But I mean, you don't have to let us know publicly, but just a little wink. Have you contacted the founders to be like, yo, what's up?
Of course. Hello.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get a reply back? You don't have to say what was said, but did you get a reply back?
Hey, there might be something on the way. So.
Oh, Fan it. All right, guys. Maybe we can have it here first. That's awesome. I can't wait to listen to call it in our community. Hopefully, I know Kim is busy, but as she posts stuff, we'll circulate it in our community. All right. And
Absolutely.
yes, if you guys don't know what community we're talking about, it is the EditRx community where I think over 3,500 amazing creatives come together to build, learn, and laugh together. All that stuff and Kim's information is in the description. Mini ad break. Okay. So on top of UIZard, so do you think, are you just waiting for both, or do you think that UIZard is maybe a better solution than Galio? And I'm saddened that, so is UIZard also for websites too? Because Galio was like only mobile
Yeah.
stuff, and I was saddened by that.
Yeah. So I know, as far as I'm aware, UIZard, I also had published like a week ago or such, a tool that they have. It was like you upload your wireframes and then they translate it to a UI. And you could use their interface and you could export from there. So that was like my first like interaction with the products that they're using. And as anyone here has known, like you do not have to be an artist to know how to create wireframes. So literally just rectangles, and they could be messy. And but with UIZard, the wizard, they've been able to take that and interpret it to create a UI for it. I'm on the wait list for both, so I can't say which one seems more promising, but I know that it's a race. Like right now, people are rushing to market and trying to find that product market fit, which is so it's interesting to analyze.
Do you have that? I'm curious if your anxiety is to the level of mine. I'm very sure because we were talking about this. But I feel like when we wake up nowadays in the morning, it's like there's this new tool and we're like, fuck, we're behind. We need to learn it. We need to explain how it works to our audience and things like that. Is that kind of like the speed in which you're feeling things?
I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, very honest, today, because I've been most excited about ControlNet, which is the latest development with Stable Diffusion, AI tools. And let me tell you something. I use ChatGPT to explain some of these papers to me. Listen, people, they're written by MIT professors, people that written, and they just speak differently. They speak like engineers, or they speak like, just not in layman's terms. And ChatGPT has been very useful in, you can literally, like, this is what I do. I take the link, the URL, and then I plug it into ChatGPT and I write, explain this like I'm 5, enter. And that's what helps me understand this a lot better. Truthfully.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like I said, you've been, what is it called? What is the phrase? Man.
It's been a rat race.
Yeah. What is it? I forget. Yeah, the rat race. But I forget. What's the saying about the paint? Or where it's just like, man, like I'm in the paint or something. Oh, I'm so trifling. I'm so sad. I'm gonna have to look it up on Urban Dictionary. Okay, but I think it would be good to because there's a lot of really good questions here, and I want to give as much time possible to what everybody's really talking about. So guys, we're gonna jump into MK in the chat is like the anxiety is real. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm glad you guys are enjoying the nuggets, and there's just so much. That's why I was like, man, I'm just happy we have an hour with you because there's too much to dive into. Like I think we got surface level on a lot of good things, but we can dive deep on a lot of this stuff. So, but the value that I think we can get for the rest of the time that we have, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys can start, there's a couple of questions that I'm going to pull up here for Kim to answer. But if you have questions, drop them in the chat because we're going to roll into our Q&A now. And Kim, you let me know if you have to roll, and we're going to try to stop straight at 2 p.m. our time. But you tell me if you've got the time or you want to extend that. It's all up to you. Okay? All right, so first one, let's see what we got. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here. So, And guys, if you have your question, please have like question and like semicolons so that I can actually see the because on my end the questions actually turn yellow and I can see a lot easier and I can bring them up on the screen. All right, so first one we have from MK. What other industries do you see XR being integrated into the future? And obviously, it's probably like a lot of them. But what do you see that's probably a little bit abnormal that XR is being integrated into, just from your knowledge?
Immediately, healthcare.
And
Um,
that was yeah.
yeah, so I'm obviously not in healthcare, but residents, and they need to practice on something. Surgeons need to practice on something, and sometimes they do have these dolls that they practice on, or other things. But XR would be a more practical solution to be able to do some of that practice and run those simulations in a way that seems more familiar to them. And we have a lot of simulations that we run today, but if we could build something that is closer to what that experience might be like, and also move away from some of the practices that we have currently today, that would be wonderful. Like surgery and XR, yes, it's not the same, but there are definitely it's a definitely perhaps better use of the technology to help new residents, students learn some of those practices for their knowledge just immediately off the bat. Sorry, I like remembered that little game where it was where you had to pick up the what is it, and then you get buzzed with the tweezer.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The it's going out of my mind, but I know exactly that.
Yeah,
That's a game that causes PTSD. I think I've actually cried a couple times playing that game.
yeah. To be honest, Oculus has a case study with Johnson and Johnson actually using some of their headsets to train their residents. So that's literally where I'm pulling it from.
That's awesome. And I mean, nobody can. I mean, this is just for like high school. I mean, has nothing to do with like healthcare, but it's just like I'm pretty sure someone would rather dissect a frog and or a human innards in the Oculus versus like here's a cadaver or here's
Right,
actually a dead frog.
right. Yeah.
Yes, but your answer was much more educational than like, yeah, I don't want to dissect the frog. No thanks. In little story time, I actually made the girls on my team in high school dissect the frog. I wasn't doing it. I was too scared. Anyways, I was like, no, you're going to do it. I'll watch. I'll tell you what to do. Anyways, all right. So we have a question from Nina. She's saying, we're actually going to have an event in our Discord soon with one of my friends who is working with a startup incorporating AI into their video game. What are your thoughts on using AI in things like video games? I know that's very broad. But yeah, just give us your straight up opinion. It doesn't have to be factual, or it could be factual.
That is very broad, because is AI then assisting you to play the video game? I mean, we see that with chess now. Actually, just the other day, a human did beat AI in chess tournaments. Um, I think it's fine. I think the only thing that's demotivating for people is when they can't win against the AI. That's it. I think,
Don't make the game too hard. Don't make the hard mode
right,
the end all be all.
right. I mean, yeah, always.
Got it.
If that use case, like it's very broad.
Got it. Yeah, and we have other questions here as well. Like Benta, I really like your question, but it's still also really broad. Maybe we can leave that to last. Actually, no. I think this is a great question. Okay, and I'll make it a little bit specific. So Benta is asking, what kind of solutions can we provide to people that basically how can we use AR, AI, and VR to actually solve people's problems so that there's like a business case and we're actually making money. And I know there's, like you were saying, example, VR, healthcare, solving the problem of making it so that students don't have to, practice on like real live stuff. So there's a business case for that. And someone has to kind of like put problem in the solution together. So that is still like a broad thing, but let's talk about like AR filters. How can somebody make money from AR filters? Because that even boggles the shit out of me. Like, what is the use case? What is the business case? Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, advertising. What does a billboard do? Um, it just it's a different form of an experience. It's a different form of an advertisement, and augmented reality experiences provide a unique layer. They're getting more immersive as we go on with time, but AR filters specifically, I wish I could share the link because now I'm forgetting it at this point. But I shared an AR filter um, that, and I don't know if your like audience is more sorry, designer based, but this AR
Designer.
filter, okay, awesome. So this AR filter was able to scan things out in the open and get the hex code. How usable would that be for colors that you love and want to save? Keep in your back pocket. Um, that would be immediately helpful to a lot of designers that see something and just want to go ahead and use that. AR filters aren't limited to makeup filters or games. We're actually starting to see more of a build on creating them to be like more of a utility. Um, doesn't mean that we should move away from the artistic realm of AR filters now. I think they still do serve a purpose. And I don't know if your audience is familiar with, but there was an AR filter that is on TikTok, but I forgot the developer's name, but she created like these eyebrow lines so you could draw in your eyebrows evenly. And that's a tool, and it helped people sort of draw on their eyebrows a lot easier. I fill in my brows sometimes, and sometimes I mess up. I'm not perfect. But if I had a filter sort of helping me out saying, hey, that's asymmetrical, wonderful.
That's awesome. So, all right, let's dive a little bit deep. 'Cause this is my personal question. So, let's say we're a bomb designer. We're really good at like AR filters. How do I a like what are the way? Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, easiest way to get a client through my skill set is selling my time to create AR filters for a brand. That's one thing, right? Installments, things like that. But is there another business practice other than selling your skill? Um, like for example, how would you approach things? Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, what if I wanted to work with Hilton or whatnot, and I made a AR filter and kind of built like this use case and whatnot, found who the head of whatever that marketing branch is, pitched them. Like how would you structure deals? Like what are the how can I make money via my AR ability? Like, what are the outlets? Because I'm only in my mind because I don't know. I'm thinking, okay, I could have a job as a AR designer. I could be a contractor as a AR designer. What is the C D E F G that I'm missing?
um, you actually had me thinking of what word that might be. So right now I'm actually working on an AR filter with a company, and honestly, I stick to what is tried and true when recommending how to get into any industry. It's oftentimes creating passion projects to build sort of that, build an understanding for the technology that you're using, find its limitations, create a baseline portfolio, create an aura or attention around it through content, for example, or whatever method that might be for you, creating videos or writing about it, or tweeting, and generally start attracting that. Now, I know that isn't a direct answer in terms of pitching. Um, this also helps having a portfolio. And regardless of whatever I was doing in my life, I always tailored my portfolio for the people that I wanted to show up for and the exact clients I wanted to work with. So if I wanted to work for a makeup company, maybe I might focus on beauty filters. There are a lot of makeup companies that are moving into exploring these avenues. Sephora has quite a few of them, and that's one use case. If it is more a digital product, for example, like maybe it's a new launch of a perfume, then maybe I would really focus in on learning 3D skills to create more physical products. Um, Digital creations of these products to put in the AR filters and go from there, and maybe lean into After Effects to create some of the visuals from there. There is a lot there that you could do to tailor and specify like what portfolio you need to create for that kind of audience. And a lot of it starts with learning the skills and also observing, like, what's that brand style like? Am I that kind of designer? Every designer, I'm sure, Brandon, you have your brand. Um, and you really need to find that in the first place. But first, have fun exploring, like, and learning the tools.
Yeah, because sometimes I think about it almost because it is advertising. Essentially, if someone wants to put basically product placement, there's product placement in movies, there's product placement in all the traditional media, and now that we're kind of moving into like this digital space, you have AR digital product placement, and it's like, how can you create an engaging experience? Just like you could be watching a YouTube video that YouTube, the actual company's like, all right, this piece of content is engaging, it's family friendly or whatever friendly that they have to do, so we're going to allow our advertisers to be in the front, the middle, the end of this content piece because it keeps consistent attention, and we're going to have our brand or whatever this company that's paying this company to advertise, this advertising company is going to be associated with this content that our viewer enjoyed. So I guess it's kind of the same business model. It's just a different medium. And I guess that's how we have to think about it.
Here's the bigger picture too. With a lot of these big companies starting to hopefully close the deal and finally move a lot of these products out there, we are moving into the age where we are thinking of these AR contact lenses, glasses, these AR filters, AR experiences that you're thinking of are not outside of that. They would be included within that eventually in part of that ecosystem. So, you're not creating in a silo. And I think that's what's also taking so long to launch a lot of these products is the interoperability. Like, if I use this headset, can I connect it to every other of my experience? And that's what makes me excited about Apple's launch. They're so good at creating interoperable devices. Like my headset, my AirPods can connect to this device, then switch to my phone. I expect my glasses to then be able to do that. And if they are AR glasses, then I expect to not see any notifications on my glasses when I put D&D.
No, thank you. Yeah. All right. So we went through a lot, and ladies and gentlemen, we can take one more question if you guys. I think we have time for one more question. There's a lot of general questions, and I don't think we're gonna be able to dive into that. I think the last question was, can you share a roadmap for XR? Like, that's very dependent, like where you're working at, what industry, because XR is in a whole bunch of different silos, and what they're trying to solve is completely different than the person in the industry next to them who is also using XR to do stuff. So
it also largely, like, Brandon, I'm sure you're aware that Apple Store can only, like, you have to run, if you're a business, you have to run it by them if your app could be featured in the Apple Store. So there's a lot of business moves there that need to be agreed upon before we can think of the one device that rules them all. We're not even there yet. We're not there yet. We have so many devices, and that's why I still think we're still in the early stages somewhat. Oh, if Apple, who has a design system, who has design guidelines, moves first, it's a chess game at this point. They would really be creating that first, I expect, design system for XR and creating the standard for a lot of these future experiences. That's why it's also big.
Beautiful. All right, and this will be my question, because I know there's a lot of people from ADP list here. There's probably a lot of new, fresh designers, and you whet their palate with this event coming here to really just indulge us in all this information. So, last two questions. I'll just give you one for now. How can someone start getting their feet wet in the XR space and the AI space? And you don't have, because I know that that's very, there's a lot, even just in the XR category. What would you say?
Yeah, I love this question. And I hate the response that I got from it years ago because it felt vague, but it's correct. I have a YouTube video that goes through how to get started in AR. So I do recommend you watching that because the first thing that I'm going to say is you have to explore it to find which area you like about augmented reality, whether that's filters and you want to dive into that, wonderful. All of the AR platforms, social platforms are free to use and play with. And this is why I say that, because it's literally costing you just your time, which does cost money, but still. Start there. If you wanted to explore physical experiences within AR, there is Adobe Aero, wonderful. Unity is a deeper learning curve, but they do have a pathway to learn Unity and create that a VR experience, if that's what you're leaning into. AI is moving so fast, you literally could start anywhere. One of the first places I started was downloading Stable Diffusion into my Mac and figuring out, how do I do this? Can I go to Hugging Face, which, is a weird named website, but they have a lot of, it's a weird, but they have in-house a lot of AI tools already that you just try. You don't have to download anything. You can also use Google Colab notebooks. If you're afraid your computer can't take another download, I understand. Graphics cards are a concern, and as I mentioned, I am on a Mac, so Google Colab is like a loaner computer that is all decked out on all of the specs that you would want to run some of these programs on. So they are also free. Collab notebooks have a limitation, but I believe for 50 gigabytes or something like that per month, it's like $1.99 or something like that. $1, if I might be misquoting, but check into it. I know that there's a free tier.
Is Collab Notebooks by Google?
I believe so.
All right. I'm just trying to make sure I'm giving the right links to everybody in the chat. So far I've given them you're getting started with AR. I've dropped the Hugging Face, and then for some reason I cannot find I spelled collab wrong. That might that might contribute. All right, guys. You is it called Google Collab?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, there are lots of free tutorials online too to show you how to run through this Google Colab notebook. And there are many different types for different types of styles. That's already overwhelming. Choose a favorite tutorial and go from there. We're still in the early stages of AI, and you could tell by the UI. It is so engineer heavy that I've had to go through many tutorials. You're not the only one to do this, and it's totally normal. We're literally all learning at the same time together.
Yeah, I think like you said, that's the main thing. It's super early. Just get your feet wet. There's gonna be a lot, but then just see what makes your taste buds jump up. Because there's so many directions you can go. Learning all of it is not the way to go. It's just what gives you that little tingly feeling inside, and just decide to go, okay, learn this that can make this. Okay, cool. Well, I actually really I want to make something like this, and just you keep going down that rabbit hole. So, all right, we'll close that there. And Kim, final words of wisdom and or anything that you want to leave to our audience today.
Yeah.
Is there final words?
Last words for design, because I totally left that out. Regards to AI, Magician AI, I believe, is out. It's created by Diagram, and it's a plugin for Figma that is an AI tool. So definitely check that out if you're a designer. It's fun to even start to think of how we can, how AI is going to move the needle here for design tools. But to wrap this up, I know it's a scary time. I know things are changing. it's also a really great time to just get started learning. And I do encourage everyone to start exploring AI, start exploring XR, because they're definitely going to impact a lot of our future experiences. And by future, these things are moving so fast, it could be a handful of years, honestly. So that's the best way to get ahead, be involved in these conversations. Everyone's voice is very important when it comes to designing, creating, and we should all very much be within these spaces and not left out.
Woo. Kim, I couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you so much for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, you guys can find Kim Alban. All her information is the link in the description. If you liked what you saw here, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Please spend time looking through her content. She had, do you have courses? I'm not sure if we got there, but you've got stuff in the works regardless. The free content, cool, paid stuff is coming out. You have your new subscription out on IG where you have a subscription that you're basically dumping just like you have here on really all the people that follow you on Instagram. As things come out, you're giving people the hot stuff when it comes out. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kim Alban, thank you so much. Claps
you.
one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Kim, you are free to go. I'll hit you up a little bit later, but I'm going to close out the show, and I just hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye. Take it
Bye.
easy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kim Alban. Again, I enjoy her so much. Like, we probably need to, she's like, Brandon, you need to come to New York. I'm like, I probably really need to do that. We're working on it, okay, guys? But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give you 3 reminders. If you have not followed Kim, 1, do that. Links down in the description. 2, if you have not joined our Discord community, also links down in the description, okay? If you guys like this event, we are going to have more guests like this each and every month, okay? If you guys want to be a guest speaker included, if you guys are in the chat listening to this, hit me up on Instagram, our Discord, things like that. If you guys have some cool information, we want guests. We want awesome information to share with our community. So hit me up, hit up our Discord community if you want to learn, build, and really just learn how to specifically take your amazing designs and turn them into responsive websites. That is what our community focuses on. But we also want to give you guys some really amazing information like we did here today. Third, speaking of design to responsive website, I want to share with you guys tomorrow we have an event at 1 p.m. EST, just like we have here today. And it is, let me go ahead and bring that up very quickly. Give me a second. I need to find what screen that actually is. So tomorrow we have an event that is Figma to Editor X. So if you guys are a Figma fan, boys and girls, we have, let me hit the right button. So we have this event tomorrow. I don't know why that animation thing is still, we got the Naruto like anime zooms. Just pretend that's not there. That's very distracting. Okay, it's just emphasizing how cool the event is. But tomorrow, February 23rd at 1 p.m. EST, we have for you a free Figma template. But basically all we are doing is this. We are going to take this Figma design. I literally just threw some stuff together. I generated the shoes via chat or Mid-Journey, and we created in literally 15 minutes a responsive site that we are going to build together in under an hour. Okay, so if you guys want to have fun tomorrow for an hour, play around, make something cool, join us. So when you guys sign up, I'll drop the link for this in the description, or not in the description, but in the chat here. But we also have this in our community Discord as well, just to show you guys what's going on. In our community Discord, we have several events. Obviously, you guys can see we have the Future of Design going on now. But tomorrow, 1 p.m., we have 139 plus, I think like 160 people who signed up for this. But you guys can just click on this, make sure you're interested, sign up. You'll get your free Figma file link so that you can open up the Figma file in your Figma. All right. Okay, thank you guys so much. I just want to say thank you to MK, Ari, Lee. We have Kimberly that joined in at the very last moment. It's a pleasure to see you, Kimberly. I'm glad to have you here. We have Windu, I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. We had Juan Pablo. Thanks, Kim and Brandon. Thank you so much. We had, let's see, who else? We had a whole bunch of people. We had Benta. Let's see, who else? Nina, just everybody. Cindy, all of you guys. So it's been a pleasure. I just want to say I hope to see you guys in our Discord community because we have a lot of cool events coming up. And of course, if you guys are wanting to learn all those things, Figma to design, join our community. We have amazing get-togethers every Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST to 3 p.m. EST. All right, guys, that's it for today. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Brandon Groce, your favorite host, designer, and promoter, out. Bye, guys. Gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and tuning into this episode of Real Talk, brought to you by Editor Rex, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. If you want to watch more amazing videos like this, check out our playlist down in the description with all of our Real Talk episodes, including other educational videos like Editor X tutorials. And also, do not forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified each week when we go live, and of course, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to smash the like button because it helps us reach more creatives like yourself each and every day. With that said, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. With that said, Brandon Groce, out.
It was time,